welcome to You Better Fact Check because I had wine first. Also, it's 3:44 p.m., so I did not have wine first. But it's 5 o'clock somewhere, so I could have. We are in very tumultuous times, are we not? We are, as a world, in the middle of a pandemic, while simultaneously in the middle of a revolution. A revolution that encompasses so many things: racial equality, social change, systematic change within our government and police systems. There's so many moving parts to what we need to be doing right now that it almost seems impossible. But with that being said, it is the most necessary thing that needs to happen. We as people of color are uniting like they did 40, 50 years ago. More like 50, 60 years ago. But this is a change that is needed and been brewing and necessary. And I'm proud of us. I am so overwhelmed sometimes at the amount of progress that needs to be made, and then so frustrated with how little has been made, to just be simply treated like a decent human, to be treated like a white human, to be treated like any way other than what we are currently being treated. I said treated a lot, I know. Let's see. My daughter, Zoe, and I went to a protest here in Hoover, Alabama. And I took her because there's something about belonging that is so important. And her getting to see what was going on and not be fearful of people protesting and doing positive things, but to be fearful of the system. Because if you aren't afraid of things, then you won't try and change them, right? Like if we didn't fear that the police might take a young black boy's or a young black girl's life, we wouldn't worry about changing it. Kind of how white America doesn't get why there needs to be a reconstruction of the judicial system as it pertains to people of color, because it doesn't affect them the same way that it does us. My nephew sent me a article on Instagram where a young boy was just convicted of murder and he never fired a gun. He never wielded a gun, any of those, because he's a black boy and you can just run over him and charge him with the crime that the police committed. I have to fully read all of the details of it and read while it's not so late. I feel like when I read right before I go to bed, I forget everything that was previously in my mind by the time I wake up the next morning. And I also forgot where I was going with that exact statement. Oh, a system that is built entirely for people of color to fail. a way to keep you enslaved, right? Whether it be physical slavery, like prison and prison workers making things for little to no wage, or it be in mental slavery, right? You're always trapped in a kind of anxiety when it comes to the police. I am 39 years old. I have not committed a crime a day in my life. Okay, maybe I have inched into that light when it was just about to turn red or was speeding. Okay, so I've committed crimes. But nothing that should get me shot or choked out. But I know, because I am a person of color, because I'm black, that could happen, you know? So there is a sinking of my chest when a police officer pulls behind me or beside me. The awareness that I need to act more normal than I already am, because they're already looking at me. It's a lot to unpack. I have friends and colleagues who do check-ins and try and see how I'm doing and where my head is at. And my response now is really, I'm not good. I'm not going to continue to lie and say that I'm doing great and things are fine. No, the world is on fire. So I feel like I'm in the middle of a nervous breakdown most of the time. I am crying over sons that are not mine. I'm mourning for daughters that are not mine, fearing that that could be my sons or my daughter. There is so much to dive into about what is problematic in our country. What it means to be a Black American. What it means when you say Black Lives Matter. Because I know over 100 people or 100 posters that explain why this is not saying Black lives exclusively matter. And I think people keep arguing it because they want to turn you from what you're trying to do that is positive and the point you're trying to make. Because you step away to argue with them and say, how do you not get that Black lives matter? And I don't mean that all lives don't matter. But Black lives, right? Precious sons of the sun matter. So I don't know if you can hear that, but I can hear my child flushing the toilet. It's loud through the wall. It's hard to find a place to record when you have young children, because that's when they want to amp up their noise or their excitement or their arguing or anything. So I've come to what seems like my only sanctuary is my rather large restroom, and then close that door and close my bedroom door, but I still hear their noise and ramblings about. And also, I hear a toilet that I need to put in a maintenance request order for because it keeps running. But anyway, Black lives. My life. My elderly mother's life. My stepdad's life, my brother's life. Every single one of these people matter just as much as the next white person, or the next Asian person, or the next Middle Eastern person, or the next European person. Not European American, but European person. We matter so much. Black people are so creative and innovative and beautiful and honest and real. And it makes me sad that people don't see us for who we really are. And I'll admit it. I have a lot of pride in being a woman of color. I wouldn't wish to be anyone else than who I am exactly. I love the skin that I am in. And I just want people to respect the skin that I am in. You don't even have to love me like I love myself. You don't even have to walk in faith like you should, as most of these Southern Christians, and love thy brother as you would love yourself. Just respect me. Respect our differences. Don't say you don't see the color of my skin. Say that you see it, you appreciate it, and you honor it. So that I can then say in turn the same thing for you. And I won't say you're a Karen, or you have white privilege, or you don't know how I grew up, or what I have seen, or what my friends have seen, and their friends have seen, and the endless barrage of bodies that have piled up under the police forces that are black bodies. I know that there are people who are popping up statistics where there are more white people killed by the police than there are black people. Well, dear, there are more white people in the country than there are black people. We are a minority. What is 13% African American, Black American in the United States? But we still have a higher rate of death by the police, percentage-wise, if that's what we want to say. Police are supposed to serve and protect, right? I mean, I'm sure that's what Andy Griffith was doing when he just let the drunk come into the cell and stay there and sober up. He did not beat him with a nightstick. Ain't B made him breakfast the next day. Like, you respect the citizens that you work for is what the police are supposed to do. You're not supposed to be thugs on the street shooting rubber bullets into crowds, pepper spraying people as you drive by, tear gassing children, beating people with metal batons. Police are supposed to be engaged in their community and making people trust them and children trust them because they're here for if you have a problem, then I will help you with that problem. Not, I think you have a problem, so then I will make that problem worse. Is there any way of thinking that the police could somehow do a 180 and turn this shit all the way around? And if somebody stopped, or if a police stopped someone and their taillight was out, they could simply say, hey, your taillight was out. This is a warning ticket. Not, what did I stop you for? Or do you know what I stopped you for? You are the police. You know why you stopped me. They're immediately combative. Like things as simple as that. If you know why you stopped me, you tell me, so then you don't have to get my attitude. But that's the thing. They can't change the whole system. It can't be a 180. You cannot kick out the 70% of bad cops, since we just can do as the president and throw out our own percentage and say 99% of the cops are good. It's that 1%. I think he was thinking of the 1% that are the richest people in America. And everybody else is kind of hovering around poverty and middle class. Maybe that's what he was thinking. I don't know. And it got confused. But I'll say that in observations of police response to people I know and people that I've seen on the internet, it seems like more a 70-30. 70% are bad and about 30% are good. The good could also be less because there are cops who aren't doing bad things, but they sure as hell are not reporting when the bad ones are doing bad things. So, how do we get something that works for us? That works for everybody. Not even that just works for Black people. That works for everyone. I don't know that answer either. But I do know I want to feel safe. And the police are supposed to do that. They're supposed to make you feel safe. Their presence is supposed to make you feel safe, not anxious, not stressed out, not in your head about what you may or may not have done wrong, or if you will make it away from this traffic stop or alleged counterfeit money. They're supposed to uphold the law of the land. They're supposed to be like Lady Justice, right? I hope that's right. I hope I'm saying the right person. It balances out. It's supposed to balance out, right? But it does for some people. I wish I'd had the foresight to have both of my phones while I was doing this recording so that I could pull up some different things that I'd seen and comment on. I'll just, without naming any specific names of people who have been murdered by the police, because it's hundreds lately within the past, few years. And before that, before we could record everything and document everything on our phones and on live, stuff like this always happened. It's just visible to people that it wasn't visible to before. I grew up in this sleepy little town, Montevallo, Alabama, and you know how you know a place that you are is racist? It's whispered about, and you know that people like that are around, but you just don't want to believe it because you're such a small community. You're like, how could anybody not like anybody? Because we know everybody. Well, it was there. And the ones who didn't like you for lack of whiteness or lack of need for your ability, I guess they stayed to themselves. But now, being on a page for our city, I see that people are blatantly opened out there.